So today is January 29th, 2017, and we're in Hebrews chapter 13. This is, of course, the Repairers Fellowship. It's session number 24 of our study of Hebrews. Now we're getting to this week's stuff. This week, verses 4 to 6. Marriage respected by all. Don't covet. And lastly, we've got God. So verse 4 of Hebrews 13 says, marriage must be respected by all. Sorry, let me turn that off. Verse 4 says, marriage must be respected by all, and the marriage bed kept undefiled, because God will judge immoral people and adulterers. And I'm reading from, of course, the Holman Christian Standard Bible. Hear it again. Marriage must be respected by all, and the marriage bed kept undefiled, because God will judge immoral people and adulterers. What does undefiled mean? The Greek word here is unsoiled or pure. There are three instances of this word in the New Testament. Two of them are in Hebrews, one is in James. But what does it mean? Let's talk about this, because if we can talk about something being undefiled, we need to talk about what it means to be defiled. The word defile means to sully something, to mar something, to spoil something. Okay? So the marriage bed is not sullied, marred, or spoiled. The archaic definition of this word is to violate the chastity of a woman. Okay? So when you violated a woman's chastity, you defiled her. When you violate the marriage covenant, you defile it. To defile also means to impair, debase, degrade, desecrate, profane, spoil. Okay? This is what it means. So this is what the writer is saying about the marriage bed, that it is undefiled, and it must be kept undefiled. Why? Because God will judge immoral people and adulterers. So how is this to be understood? The marriage bed is a holy place. Okay? On a larger scale, the real point here is that marriage itself is holy. It is sacred. Marriage is a covenantal relationship. What happens in or on the marriage bed, therefore, is a celebration or an extension of this covenant. It is sacred. And to understand what it means to have an undefiled marital relationship, we need to know what can defile it. Now, the Bible has a lot to say about this as to how a person can pollute themselves through sexual impurity, right? What does God say? Don't commit adultery with somebody else's spouse. Jesus takes that even further by saying that you even look on another person lustfully, you've committed adultery. The Bible also talks about sex between those of the same gender as being forbidden, right? Now, Jesus put that idea to bed once and for all, and maybe we need to read this. When people say that Jesus didn't say anything about homosexuality and he didn't say anything about gay marriage, etc., is that really true? Let's look at what Jesus did say. Okay? Let's go to Matthew chapter 19.
When Jesus had finished this instruction from Galilee and went to the region of Judea across the Jordan, large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. They approached him to test him. Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife on any grounds? And he replied, that he who created them in the beginning made them male and female. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, joined together, man must not separate.
Yep. We can stop right there.
7.
So, what does Jesus say when he's asked about divorce? When he's asked about divorce, he says that God made in the beginning male and female. And he said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother and cleave to his wife. So he talks about the family structure. What is the family structure? Father and mother having children. How do families begin? Man leaves father and mother, cleaves to wife who has left father and mother. They join together and become one flesh. Right? So what is the biblical family structure here? Man and woman come together, start a family, have children. Their children then leave their home, get married to somebody of the opposite sex, and have children. And that is how the family perpetuates itself. So to say that Jesus never mentioned homosexuality or gay marriage is patently false for that reason, and also because Jesus spent most of his ministry talking to Jews who knew the law. Okay? So being that they knew the law, they already knew what it was. And then the third and largest issue that a lot of people don't want to talk about because it's not necessarily politically correct is this. Jesus is in full agreement with his Father at all times, right? So if Jesus is in full agreement with his Father at all times, this is the same God who destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Was Jesus in disagreement with his Father? Okay? So you can tell by reading the scripture where Jesus stands on the issue of both gay marriage and homosexuality. Okay? The biblical Jesus, and not the breck-haired, sandal-wearing, long, spotless tunic, European-looking in the middle of the Middle East Jesus. But the biblical Jesus is against those things. Why? The scripture says so. All right?